Action. Okay, so temperature change over the course of 3 hours is this. This is what's happened. So this is not the temperature, but it's the change. So we're just looking at the changes. So what we want to do is figure out what is our total change. That's what the question's asking us. So we want to add our changes. We want to put this in brackets and add our next change in brackets, and at the next hour we'll add that change. So that's the correct technical way of doing it. And a lot of you kind of figured out, well, when we move brackets, what happens? Adding negatives turns into subtractions. Owen, you okay? You got this written down? Awesome. Okay, whoops. And so now I can go to my calculator, and with decimals, mostly for me, I think is calculator work. I'm not a big fan of estimating with decimals, although we'll just touch on it briefly at the end. Okay, and so negative 4.9 is my answer, but we got to put that into words. So who can put that into words, please, and answer the question here? What does the number represent? Pinto?
It represents the change in temperature.
Yes, but you didn't really tell me what it represents.
Negative 4.9 represents the change of temperature.
You're close, but you guys aren't, you're not really answering what I'm trying to get at, although you're answering what I'm trying to get at. Kira, you want to take a stab at it?
Over the course of 3 hours, the temperature dropped.
Yeah, so the key word was dropped, lowered, decreased, reduced, something like that. Okay, so temperature. Now, your sentence was awesome, way better than mine. I kind of suck at this. And I don't mind if you just keep it short, okay? So the temperature dropped by 4.9 degrees. Okay, and so some of the other keywords that we were looking at is decreased. Okay, decreased, lowered, reduced. Can you think of any others? Okay, all those keywords describe what? What do they describe? They describe the meaning of the negative sign, right? So you can't just say the temperature negative 4.9. You have to tell me what that means. So we're trying to get meaning from our numbers. Any questions? Do you guys know how price of stock works? Stock market. So what you have is you have your value. Your value is going to be your price times the number of shares. Okay. So that's how you find your total value. You'll need that for the very last part. Okay. So what these are representing is just the changes. So what would be a negative 2.78 change? What does that mean? The temperature, the price of the stock went up $2.78? No, what happened? It dropped, it got lowered, it reduced. You lost money because the price went down. So what we're going to do is find the total change in price. We're going to add all our changes. Add all our changes. So we're going to get, in brackets, negative $2.78 plus negative $5.45 plus 38 cents positive plus $1.38 plus $2.12. Then when we move brackets, we're going to fix all our signs. Please do that now. Go. Remove the brackets, fix all your signs. So we get negative 2.78 minus 5.45 plus 0.38 plus $1.38 plus $2.12. Go to your calculator. Make sure you're doing this so you know how to enter negative numbers into your calculator. That doesn't seem right to me. I think I screwed up somewhere. Is that, anyone else get this? Yeah, I think I... How about this? People got this, right? I think that's correct. Okay, so the total change was negative $4.35, and dollar sign goes in front in English. Okay, so make sure you're putting it up there. All you Frenchies like that, don't you? Because you're so used to putting it at the back. I know. What does that mean, though? What does it mean? In a sentence? What? Jasmine, go for it. Yeah. So how can we say that in words? Like, what's that representing? Owen. Yep. Price reduced. Yeah. Price dropped. Price lowered. What else could you say? He lost. Right. The person lost $4.35 for each share. Okay. So what we're going to do now is use this change to figure out the price of the stock at the end of the week. So if the price at the beginning was $58.22, we're going to add the change. And because it's a negative number, this turns into a subtraction. But really you want to add the change. And so what does it equal? $53.87. Okay. What you could have done is done it differently. You could have taken this price and taken the price and then just applied all these changes. That totally works as well, because really that applying all those changes is by lowering it $4.35. Okay, so that'd be the same thing. So now we have the new price. At the end of the week, he lost some money. So what we want to do is find the total change in value. So find the total change in value. So we're going to take $58.22 times that by 80. And then we're going to take $53.87 and times that by 80. This will equal at the start of the week. This will equal at the end of the week. Okay, so we've got to find his starting price and his final his starting cost value and his finishing value. So find the starting and the finishing. Okay. So to find the total change, then we would subtract. Okay. And what we should be doing is taking his final and minusing the start. So we take 4,309.60 minus 4,657.60. And there's another way I'm going to show you in a second, which is a bit easier. So it's negative 358. 348, pardon me. So what does that represent? He lost a lot of money. He lost $348 in 1 week. Okay? Who has an alternate way of doing it? Yeah, Kira?
You could just go for 45%.
Yeah, so take the change in price times the number of shares. So the shares, so the change is multiplied by how many shares there are. So $4.35 times 80. And that will also equal negative $348. Okay. Which is a better way of doing it, but I want to show you both methods so you can see that they do both work out. Who can put that into a short sentence, please? Really brief. Delano?
The person lost $348.
Exactly, right? So the person lost, or the change was $348. Okay? Or the value of the shares dropped by $348. Something like that. Any questions? Okay. All right, so number 3, it's taken very similar to one in the textbook. Please read it, underline the important information. Go. So you should have underlined gained 0.25. Gained indicates that's a plus number. Lost, so it indicates a negative number. Lost, so a negative number. Gained, so it's an additional number. So what we're going to do is use a diagram to help us. There he is at the race at 400 meters. So split that in half, that's 200. Split that in half and it's 100. Split that in half and it's 100. Sorry, 300. Let's put the appropriate times on there, please. Okay. So 100 would be plus 0.25. At 200, he's down 0.7. 300, down 0.125. And then he gained 0.5. So what we're going to do is find the total changes. Okay. So add them up. To find the total changes. And some of you are starting to see, oh, it's just adding a negative is just like subtracting. And I'm glad that you're seeing that. That's good. Okay. So you might be fixing your sign in one step. And I got no problem with that. So there's my total change. 0.075 negative. So what does that mean? And then how do we answer the question? So first of all, what does that mean? Josh. Yep. So how does that reflect to a race? It's not necessarily going to win. Why? Because he is, yeah, he's not in front, but he's behind. Okay? So he's behind by this much. So what does he have to do to win? So to win, he must gain what? Yeah. So you're on the right track. So what Josh is saying is, if he just gains 0.075, what's going to happen? Is he going to win? No, it's going to be a tie. So what two words can we use to indicate a win using this number? Kira?
At least.
Not at least, because then it's only a tie. Yeah, more than. Okay, so that's some key words there. He must gain more than 0.075 seconds. Okay. You must gain more than 0.075 seconds. Any questions? All right. Okay, read the next one, underline the important info. Go. And you got to change this word from less to more. Okay, then it makes more sense. How much more would it cost? Because the van is a gas guzzler than the car, right? So there's the important information. What we want to do is find the difference. Okay, find the difference between them. So we're going to take the van fuel consumption and minus the car. So the van is 8.3, the car is 6.6. How many more liters per kilometer is the van going to cost? It's going to cost or use 1.7 liters more for 100 kilometers. Okay. Now what we can do is use a proportion to help us. So we have 1.7 liters per 100 kilometers, and you have to drive 450 kilometers. How many liters will you use? So what would you multiply 100 by to get 450? So we times the bottom by 4.5. What do we have to do with the top of the fraction then? Do the same. Times it by 4.5. So this becomes 1.7 times 4.5. 7.65 liters more. So that's how much gas you're going to use. You're going to use 7.65 liters more. Okay. So you're taking our fuel consumption difference, multiplying it to get how much fuel extra will be used, and then we're going to have to times it by the cost, which is $7. And we get this number. $8.19 when you round. So, brief sentence. What is it? To use the van. Okay. There we go. Now the van's fuel consumption is probably more like 13 liters per 100 kilometers. Car's probably more like 8 maybe. I don't know. I didn't look it up. Any questions? Read the next one, underline the important info. Go. So, price of gas in Langley, in Surrey, Abbotsford, Chilliwack. What, and then mean is important. What does mean mean? Mean is the math word for average. Just an average question. It's not very mean. So your average equals your sum divided by the number of numbers added. Okay. Now it's important that you find the total. It's so important because your calculator otherwise will only divide the last number. So you gotta press equals. You need to press your equal sign and find that sum. So we're going to go 145 plus 172 plus 126 plus 136. What should we divide by? Yep, but I'm just going to write it down first before you even touch your calculator. Smart guy. What should we, how many numbers did you add? 4. So you should divide by 4. Okay. Go ahead and do that on your calculator. That's pretty funny. So I got $1.45. If you got something different, you might have done this. Right? You might have only divided the last number by 4 because you didn't find the total sum of 579 first. Now on your calculator, I know how calculators work. I know my order of operations. I know to find this 579 first and actually write it down. But some of you are so lazy, it's not funny. To help improve your laziness, put brackets around the top addition. Then your calculator has to find that sum. Okay, it has to do it. So that's something to keep in mind. Any questions? Okay, last little bit. This one's going to be a harder one. Underline the information. We have 5 cities and then the mean temperature, but we're missing the arrow. So if we add them all up, and we add the arrow, and we divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's going to equal 14.6 degrees, the average. So let's try and add them up as much as we can. We just can't add the arrow. Okay. So we'll add up the numbers that we can. And we get 72.4. Okay. So now we're going to go to our algebra. Our algebra says, number 1, do the opposite. So if we see addition, we have to do subtraction. If we see division, we have to do multiplication. And the other part is keep it equal. So whatever you do to the right side, you have to balance it and do it to the left side. Okay, so that's all from algebra, which you've done before. We're just going to review real quickly. So what I have to do to get y by itself and solve for y is I have to do the opposite of divide by 6. What's the opposite of dividing by 6? Good. So timesing by 6. Do I just do that to the left side or do it both sides? Both sides. Now on the left, they cancel, and I'm left with 72.4 plus y equals, now I have to go and find that answer. 87.6. Is that correct? Someone try that? Now, I'm adding 72.4. So what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting 72.4. So the left side cancels. You're left with y equals. Go to the calculator for the right side. That should be a 6, by the way. Minus 72.4, 15.2. So euro was 15.2 degrees Celsius. So that's a tougher one because you're doing algebra. We haven't really viewed it too much, but I just want to throw it out there. Follow along with it. Any questions? Okay. Estimating with decimals, you want to round. So you want to round to a half, which is 0.5, or a whole number. So for adding and subtracting, we have 3.2 plus 7.6. We should round that to 3 plus 7.5, so we get 10.5, just really quickly. Okay, so round it to a half or a whole. The 3.2 is closest to 3, the 7.6 is closest to 7.5. Round to a half or a whole. Multiplying or dividing the same thing, so 3.1 times 5.8, that's like 3 times 6, which is 18. So that would be a good estimation. Or if it's 4.5 times, 4.4 times 10.2, I'd round that to 4.5 times 10, because 4 times 10 equals 40, and half times 10 equals 5. Quit talking, Delano. So my total then is 45. Add them up. So I break it up, do it separately, put it together again.